Above man stands nature. Man's fundamental need for shelter has created the most astonishing structures that stand as proof and remains of the times and the men that lived at the time. Mountains and rivers are the structures of nature, whereas houses are those of men. This is a house built in 1928 in a neoclassical postcolonial style by a prosperous sugar manufacturer. It was hastily abandoned when sudden political change made it illegal to own property. Its decline is evident. The new rulers had no time and no money to keep the house from decline. The alley of trees planted at the time has gradually grown into the front yard of the house, expanding its root system monumentally to include the outer walls of the structure. It has been unmaintained for more than 50 years. In another 20 years, if unmaintained, this house will be partially consumed by the roots and branches of this tree and new trees that soon will start to become bigger from the seeds of the mother tree they once were. New trees of considerable size are already growing from roof and balconies. Destruction is gradual and steady, reliable as the turning of the world around its own axle. Look at these magnificent corridors and rows of columns. It is easy to imagine how it would feel to walk along them a sunny day in spring, or sit in these once so magnificent halls and vestibules, having a drink or a coffee. As destruction continues, a whole city is slowly falling apart, falling into ruins. Man will do its best to survive as nature takes over. Maybe is it possible that nature will help man survive and make man's and nature's struggle join and become one, a shared struggle for survival. In a city where water is scarce, only 30% of the water pumped reaches its end consumer. Valves and washers are impossible to acquire, even if you should be lucky enough to have the money. So where the water isn't running directly into the streets, creating wonderful water mirrors and rivers of fresh water amidst drought, the water is lost to the rotten plumbing. A city without bread once sparked dangerous grounds for those who could afford to eat. A city without water one might think of as an even more dangerous place to be for those who can flush their water closets. As sugar prices rose and fell following one world war after the other, an island surrounded by strong currents and a terrifying population of naval carnivores was tossed into changes that would put it under a siege never before experienced in modern history. 17,996 days of a siege that gradually, due to unforeseeable changes on the political arena, has numbed its powers, but still leave most men and women surviving by a thin hair. Apathy in man comes hand in hand with nature's supremacy, as the lifetime of a man is so much inferior to that of this tree. If it takes 50 years to destroy a nation, it takes 200 to build one. This tree might see a nation rise from its demise, but here is someone who will not. This woman is about to die. Her time on this planet is accounted for. Most of her life, she has hoped to see her relatives on the other side of the strait. Her youth she lost to those who convinced her that men can change, that there is a possible remedy to greed and selfishness. As a band of spoilt brothers and college graduates struggled to rule and define this new man, nature was not waiting as a paralyzed population did. It worked slowly and methodically along its own laws, and with no monetary compensation ate itself into the structures of men. In other parts of the world, men think that nature needs to be taken care of so that men don't take over. In this place, men know too well that nature must be held short, or nature will take over. Perhaps she read and studied and tried hard to sit with those who had privileges such as private transportation and access to meat and poultry, but soon realized the seats were taken and already no longer possible to acquire. Death is embracing her as she catches her breath, holding herself to the gates of this magnificent castle. She leaves the planet robbed of her hopes of ever being able to live a civilized life and of ever being able to see her family again. History will not free anyone. Nature will not forgive man. It just simply takes over.